Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So we will resume our discussions on chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. So we ended at verse 25 and we'll resume from verse 26. This is a famous, often quoted verse. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadham bhakti upaharatam ashnami prayatatmanah. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, a fruit, or water, I will accept it. So in the previous set of verses, Krishna had spoken about the choices that an aspiring transcendentalist has. They can either worship Krishna and get an eternal destination, or they can worship somebody else, whether it's the devas or the impersonal form, which is troublesome and temporary happiness. Now in the last 9 verses of the chapter, from 26 to 34, Krishna encourages us to make the right choice, which is worship him, and also encourages us by showing us how simple it is, in implicit contrast to the other process. Now, this verse essentially captures the essence of bhakti. Right? Here Krishna says that if one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, or fruit, or water, I will accept it. Expanding the Sanskrit contextually, the verse reads as follows: that Krishna accepts that which is offered with devotion from a devotee with a pure mind that is uncontaminated by material desires, and a pure body which is purified by following scriptural regulations. Such a person, even if he gives just a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, Krishna accepts. Right? So some points that come forth when we expand this verse contextually is that Krishna, in mentioning leaf, fruit, flower, or water, he connects them by the word or, either or. So he's not saying give me a leaf and a flower and a fruit and a water. He says either leaf or flower or fruit or water. Right? Prabhupada says that even if you don't have a leaf or a flower or fruit, at least you can give water. Right? Now, all these are placed at the same level. So it's not that if one was offering a fruit has can expect greater reciprocation than one who offers water. But what is the qualification of one that expects reciprocation? That we see when we look at the word by word Sanskrit. So Krishna says that one who offers with a pure consciousness, he says prayatatmanah. So pure consciousness is one that is uncontaminated by material desires. Pure consciousness is one which is only for the pleasure of Krishna. Right? So that's the first time. The second is Krishna says Bhakti upaharatam. Bhakti upaharatam is the act of offering is done with devotion. And then finally bhaktya. Bhaktya is that receiving that which Krishna gives is also with devotion. Right? So the focus in this verse is really love or devotion. That the person with a consciousness that is saturated with love, offers something to Krishna with love and accepts Krishna's reciprocation with love. 3 times the word love is used. Now, what about Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam? So, 2 ways to understand this. Now, clearly, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam is something that is very, very easily available. Anybody can get a leaf, flower, fruit, or water. So, the point Krishna is making is that the ingredients in themselves are not important. Right? So, he picks up a set of ingredients that are most easily available. So, he says the ingredients are not important. What is important is the aspect of love. And that is what bhakti is all about. Right? Some acharyas also note that Krishna uses these 4 items to also talk about bhoga, because very similar to the 3rd chapter when Krishna is talking about yagyas, then he uses the example of grains or food to illustrate how the cycle of yagya works. And at that time we discussed the reason Krishna picks it up is because everybody needs to eat. Everybody can relate to food. So it is universally relatable. So for the same reason, some acharyas say Krishna uses these 4 items that typically go in the preparation of bhoga. Right? So in that context, one can understand this verse as follows, that one who cooks bhoga with a pure consciousness, priyatmana, that this is only for the pleasure of Krishna. This bhoga that I am cooking is only for the pleasure of Krishna. Then after having cooked the bhoga, one offers to him with devotion. So bhakti upaharatam. Upahar means offer. Literally it means gift, but it means offering. So after having cooked with the consciousness this is for Krishna, that which is cooked is offered with love and devotion to Krishna, bhakti uparatam. And then finally bhaktya. Finally the prasadam that one gets after taking the offering is honored with devotion. So the 3 aspects, the cooking, offering and the honoring, they are covered over here by priyatatmana, bhakti uparatam and bhaktya. So Krishna here says that I will accept it, which indicates that Krishna happily accepts it. He voluntarily accepts it without any compulsion. So unlike the devas who are forced to accept the karmakanda offerings because of the injunctions in the Vedas. And in the Mahabharata there is a pastime where Agnidev he falls sick because there was a king that offered so much ghee in yagyas, and because Agni was bound to offer it, he kept accepting it, and then he falls sick. That's when he goes to Krishna and Arjuna and asks them to burn the forest of Dantakaranya. No, not Dantakaranya. But the Khandav forest, so that he can be cured there. So the devas, they are forced to accept whether they like it or not. But Krishna says that I accept it with happiness. Now one might say that if love is the only component, then I can offer anything to Krishna. I can offer him meat, I can offer him liquor, I can offer him just the bare minimum, because Krishna says patram pushpam phalam toyam. Why make opulent offerings, right? But if a person is sincerely following the process, then part of love is doing what the recipient likes. Like so if there is love between a husband and a wife, then a wife will do what the husband likes, and the husband will do what the wife likes. Right? So if they say that, love, there is love over here, but I will whimsically do whatever I want, that relationship will not sustain. Part of sincere love is understanding what the other person wants and do accordingly. So similarly, Krishna has spoken at many places what he likes, what he does not like. Essentially, the entire Vedas are the likes and dislikes of Krishna. So when a person is sincerely trying to express their love for Krishna, they will understand that what Krishna wants and act accordingly. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Verse 27. Yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurushva madarpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. So this is another important verse from this chapter of confidential knowledge, and really speaking from Bhagavad-gita as a whole. Describes the progression of bhakti. So in the previous verse, Krishna had spoken about offering a fruit, a leaf, a flower and water. So here he expands the scope to everything, right? Not just patram pushpam phalam toyam. So he says yad karoshi yad asnasi yad juhoshi. So whatever you eat, whatever you austerities you perform, whatever you do everything as an offering to me. So in the previous chapters, Krishna had spoken about two grades of devotees. Right? So he had spoken about the Sakam Bhaktas, also known as the Sanishtas, who worship Krishna with material desires. In the 7th chapter, verse 16, when Krishna speaks about the Artho Artharthi Jigyasur, like those who are desiring wealth or relief from distress or inquisitive, they approach Krishna. So they are devotees, but they're full of material desires. Bhakti is a minor component, and calm or desire is a major component. So why are they called bhaktas? Because they are approaching Krishna and not anybody else. Also because they perform bhakti according to the rules and regulations of the scriptures. But their bhakti is limited only to the actions that are prescribed in the scriptures. So they may lead a particular life according to their own propensity and desire, whether it is in pursuit of wealth or fame, whatever they want. But they will also fast for Ekadashi, do Janmashtami, maybe follow some prescribed aspects of bhakti. But all that they do it essentially to get fulfillment of the material desires. Right? So these are the lowest grade of bhakta, that is known as Sakam Bhaktas or Sanishtas. As I said, this is described by Krishna in 7:16. Then Krishna describes his Ananya Bhaktas. And these are devotees who do everything for the pleasure of Krishna. So all their actions are done for the pleasure of Krishna. the fruits of all the activities are automatically offered to Krishna because they have no desires to enjoy anything separate from Krishna. So these are called the pure devotees, the Nirapeksh Bhakta, the Keval Bhaktas, Ananya Bhaktas, or all synonyms. Krishna speaks about them in the 8th chapter, verse 14 and 15, in the 9th chapter, verses 13 and 14. So this is the two ends of the spectrum. There is the Sakam Bhaktas, and then there is the Keval Bhaktas or the Ananya Bhaktas. In this verse, Krishna speaks about an intermediate category of devotees, which are known as the Nishkam Bhaktas or the Paranishtas. So they do not have attachment to the fruits of the activities, but they still have attachment to the activities themselves. So that is why, if you notice in the verse, Krishna says that Yat Karoshi Yadasnashi, that whatever you do, because he is recognizing the fact that these devotees will act according to their own desires and propensity. When he is talking to the pure devotees, he does not say whatever you do, because there is no question of the devotees doing anything for their own desires. They do everything for Krishna. But here Krishna understands that these devotees have not reached perfection. They are still attached to performing the activities. But they are advanced enough to offer the fruits of the activities to Krishna. Right? So they are also known as I said, Nishkam Bhaktas or Paranishta. So for the Sakam Bhaktas, Bhakti is a minor component and Kam or desire is a major component. For the pure devotees, Bhakti is the only component. And for the Nishkam Bhaktas, the Bhakti is the major component and the Kam is a minor component. So we see that needle moving from Sakam, where personal desires is the highest, to Nishkam, where personal desires are intermediate, to pure devotees, where there are no personal desires. Right? So Krishna is essentially walking us through this path of devotional advancement. So in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, and this is also a verse that sometimes devotees, especially the sadhakas, will chant after performing deity worship or any devotional activities. They'll say, Kayena vacha manasendriyeva buddhyatmanava prakrite svabhavat karomi yadyat sakalam parasmai narayana yeti samarpayami. Right? Kayena vacha manasendriyeva, that whatever I have done with my body, mind and speech. Right? Buddhyatmana anushat. So, or with my mind, according to my propensities. Like it says, anushat svabhavat. So, according to my propensities, karote yadyat sakalam parasmai. That all that I have done, narayana yeti samarpyami, I offer it to you. So, the person is recognizing that his whatever he is doing is according to his swabhav, like anushat svabhavat. But advanced enough to aspire to offer the results to Krishna. Right? So this verse is almost a sister verse to Yat Karoshi Yadasnasi. There the instruction is coming from Krishna, and in Kayena Vacha Manasendriyeva, the prayer is coming from the performer. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Okay, verse 28. Shubha Shubhalerevam Mokshase Karma Bandhane Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimuktamam Upashyasi. In this way, you will be freed from bondage to work and its auspicious and inauspicious results. With your mind fixed on me in this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. So this verse talks about the result of performing Nishkam Bhakti. The nature of devotion that was described in the previous verse. The Paranishta Bhaktas who are attached to the activities but are detached to the fruits of the activities, and they offer it to Krishna. So two kinds of benefits accrue to such performers. So Subha Shubham Phalerevam Mokshayasi Ma Karma Bandhana. So Shubh means auspicious and Ashubh means inauspicious. So every activity that is done has results that are either Shubh or Ashubh. But when a person is performing activities in the mood of detachment, Nishkam Karma, then the reactions to the activities, whether they are auspicious or inauspicious, no longer accrue. This part Krishna has made in fair amount of details in the 3rd chapter, in the 5th chapter, 2nd chapter. So this we are very familiar with. But there is a special clause of Nishkam in this, that not only are the persons detached from the fruits of the activities, but they offer the fruits of those activities to Krishna. So that's why the second two line comes, Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma. So sannyas means that their renunciation is in terms of offering the activities to Krishna. Yoga Yugaktama. Right? So they are personally detached from the desire to enjoy the activity. So what do they do with the fruits of the activity? Yoga Yuktatma. They offer it to Krishna. And what is the result of that? Vimukto Mam Upashyasi. So the word Vimukta is Vi and Mukta. So a person who is performing activities with detachment, he gets mukti, liberation. But Krishna says that one who performs activities with detachment, offering them to me, he gets Vishesh Mukti. So the V over here is for Vishesh Mukti. What is the Vishesh Mukti? That not only does the person get liberated from the material conditioning, he actually attains direct service to Krishna. He is promoted to the spiritual world and becomes an associate of Krishna. So the potency of performing bhakti is glorified over here. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is said that Mukta Nam Api Siddha Nam Narayana Parayana Sudurlabha Prashantatma Koteshvapi Mahamuni. That among many millions who are liberated. So Mukta Nam Api Siddha Nam. Amongst many million who are liberated and perfect in knowledge. Siddha Nam. Narayana Parayana. Only one person will become a devotee of Krishna. So Sudurlabha, very difficult. Very same mood that we see when Krishna is glorifying his devotee Sahasranam, that in thousands of birds, thousands of jivas one takes to worship. Prashantatma Kotishvapi Mahamuni. That such a peaceful person among Kotishva, amongst crores and crores, koti means crores, is very difficult to find. So the verse not only talks about the verse talks about the glories of executing devotional service, even though it's mixed, but it is pradhan bhakti. That the major component is bhakti, and the glory is that vimukta, then not only does the person get liberated, but he attains Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he talks about a practical aspect of how to perform this nature of devotion, where a person acts according to their own propensity but offers the results to Krishna. Right? So Prabhupada says that one who acts in Krishna consciousness under superior direction is called Yukta. The technical term is Yukta Vairagya. Anasaktasya Vishayan Yathatma Upayunjata Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe Yuktam Vairagya Muchyate. So Anasaktasya Vishayan, that when a person himself is not attached to the fruits of the result. Yathartham Upayunjata, and whatever he does, Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe, he does it only in connection with Krishna. Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. That is the perfection of Yukta Vairagya. So Yukta Vairagya is one of the key processes that devotees, especially practicing devotees who are still mixed devotees, follow, because they haven't sufficiently been purified to do everything for Krishna. But what they do is they act according to their own nature, but offer the results to Krishna. That is Yukta Vairagya. Also, according to the nature, they use whatever they can and offer it to Krishna. Next verse. Verse 29. Samoham sarvabhuteshu na me dveshu asti na priyaha ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya maitu teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all. But whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. So another very famous verse, and also one that gives a lot of encouragement to devotees. So in response to the previous verse, that Krishna says that for his devotees, he awards them vimuktaha, a special kind of liberation that is not available to others. So Arjuna might say that isn't that a sign of partiality? Because if a person is performing nishkam karma, or if a person is performing nishkam bhakti, they are both nishkamis. So they should have a similar destination. But the fact that you are awarding a nishkam bhakta a much superior destination in the spiritual world as a personal associate of yours, that seems to indicate that there is partiality on your part. So Krishna refutes that. He says, Samom sarvbhuteshu na me dvesha asti na priya. Samom sarvbhuteshu means that I am the same, I am equally disposed to everyone. Na me dvesha asti na priya. Right? So, same point is made in two ways by Krishna for emphasis. So, he says, Samoham sarvabhuteshu. Right? I am the same to everyone. And then how is that sameness manifested? Na me dvesha asti na priya. I envy no one and I am not partial to anyone. Then he says, Ye bhajanti tumam bhaktya. So, tu means but. So, which means that now he is talking about an exception. What is that exception? Mam bhaktya. So, that devotee of mine who is rendering devotional service to me, maituteshu chapyam, that he lives in me and I live in him. Now, the last line, maituteshu chapyam, one might say that there is not. That's the nature of existence. Everything exists in Krishna, and Krishna exists in everyone. Right? So that's the nature of the universe. So what is the special? So so the acharyas say that this statement actually contextually means, as those who worship me with devotion are attached to me, te mai, so I am attached to them. Aham teshu. Right? So the mutual existence is not the physical existence, because in one way the whole universe is held within Mahavishnu, and within the entire universe is Shodaksha Vishnu, Paramatma. But this is more of the physical existence. Here the mutual existence is of love and interest. Right? So Krishna is saying that just as they love me, I love them. So the statement indicates the special interaction of prema between Krishna and his devotees. Because otherwise Krishna would not use the word tu. So tu means but, which means that he is now talking about an exception. Right? The first two lines says samam sarvbhuteshu name dveshasti napriya. Right? He is talking about his impartiality. So as the Paramatma, he is impartial to everything and everyone. But then he says my tu teshu, that but I make this distinction that those who live in me in terms of their attachment to me, their thoughts, their service, those who live in me, I reciprocate by similar affection and live in them. Right? So, in a sense, there is no discrepancy in Krishna's reciprocation, because reciprocation is that you reciprocate in kind. Because the devotees love Krishna, Krishna reciprocates with love to devotees. And those who are non-devotees, they relate to Krishna through the laws of material nature. And Krishna reciprocates by the implementation of these laws. The law of karma, the law of action reaction. So Krishna reciprocates with them. So just as one in 4:11 Krishna makes this point, ye yathamam prapadyante tam tathevi bhajami. Right? As one surrenders to me, I respond. Right? Same point is made over here. So Krishna essentially is indicating that there is no fault in his assertions that the devotees are given special treatment by him because they give Krishna special treatment. Okay, next verse. Verse 30. Apichet suduracharo bhajate mam ananyabha sadhureva samantavya samyak vyavasito hi saha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination. So in the previous verse, Krishna talked about his partiality to those who are his devotees. In this verse, Krishna is intensifying that mood, wherein he says that not only is he attracted to the devotees who are properly situated, he is even attracted to the devotees who are sudurachara. So, achar is activities. Durachar means impious activities. Sudurachar means really, really impious activities. Right? It's the prefix is a concentrator. It is magnifying the meaning of the word durachar. So even if the person is performing very impious activity, sadhureva sa mantavya. You should consider him as a devotee. So Arjun may ask that how can he be considered as a devotee if he is suduracharya? So Krishna says that mantavya. So mantavya is imperative, which means that it's an order. So he says that you have to respect them. Right? So it is an injunction, which means that not to do so is an offense. Right? So why? Because Krishna says sadhureva. So eva means certainly. So sadhureva means that he is certainly a devotee. So one may ask that if there is a devotee that is performing impious activities, then maybe we should respect him in proportion. Respect him for his devotional activities and disrespect him for his sudurachar. So Krishna says no. He should be considered as a devotee. Eva. Eva means definitely you should not see his bad qualities. Why? Because samyak vyavasthita. Because such a person, he is fully convinced of the relationship with Krishna. So this is the power of sambandh gyan. That when the person is fully understanding his relationship with Krishna, even if he performs impious activities, sadhureva samantavya, Krishna orders that you should consider them to be pious. So what is the mentality of such people? So Acharya Vishnu Chakravarti says that such people say that I know I am performing sinful activities because of my propensity. It is hard for me to give up this sinful disposition. And I know that I will go to hell for it. But I will not give up my dedicated worship of Krishna. Right? So that is their thought process there. Now, one may also ask, how is it possible that a person who is bhajate mam ananya bhak, right, who is engaged in devotional service, ananya bhak means without deviation, and samyak vivasthato isa, that who is firmly situated in devotion, how can he be sudaracharu? Right. So one way of understanding it, Krishna says that apichet. So apichet means even if, and this comes in the category of kimuta nyaya. So kimuta nyaya is presenting a hypothetical situation to make a point. So example of it is somebody says that will you go and punch Mohan if I give you 100 rupees? And the person says, even if you give me 1,000,000 rupees, I will not go and punch Mohan. Now he's not being offered 1,000,000 rupees, but this is kimuta, which is exaggerating to make a point. So the person makes the point that he is so affectionate to Mohan that no amount of money in the world will convince him to go and punch him. So he's saying, even if you give me $1,000,000, I will not go and punch Mohan. So here Krishna is using Kimutta Nyaya to show that how affectionate he is for his devotees. That even if his devotees were were sudurachara. Even then, he is saying, I am ordering you to be respectful of them as devotees. So one may consider this to be a hypothetical exaggeration. So this is not necessarily talking about a class of devotees who are sinful, but Krishna is saying that you want to know how affectionate I am to my devotees? Even if they happen to be most sinful, I still consider them to be my dear devotees. So this is a verse that gives a lot of sustenance. Srila Prabhupada in the purport, he also gives cautionary note here. He says that one should not misunderstand that a devotee in transcendental devotional service can perform all kinds of abominable ways. Right? So one should not take shelter of this verse, saying that Krishna says, Api chet sudurachara, that he says that if one is most sinful, sadhureva smantave. This is Krishna's injunction. So let me go ahead and perform all kinds of sinful activities because sadhureva samantavya. Krishna says that such a person is still a devotee. The Prabhupada makes this point that when a person does that, then the person is essentially breaking the relationship with Krishna. So such a person is no longer samyak vyavasthito hista, right? He is no longer properly situated in his relationship to Krishna. So Prabhupada said this points more to accidental fall downs. That sometimes because of the heat of the moment, circumstantially, or driven very strongly by the nature, the person acts in a certain way and then immediately repents it. Then Krishna says sadhureva sa mantavya. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Verse 31. Shri param bhavati dharmatma shashvak shantim nigacchati kaunteya pratijane name bhaktah pranashyati. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. Further assurances given by Krishna. So if you see the nature of these assurances, they are in contradiction to karma, jnana and astang. So in karma, jnana and astang, the onus of the burden of doing everything correct is with the performer. If the person is not able to perform, then they have to bear the consequences. But these set of verses saying that for a devotee, even if the person is imperfect to the extent of being sudurachari, Krishna still protects. So he says, Name bhaktya pranashyati. Two ways to understand that my devotee never perishes. Which means that once a person becomes a devotee of Krishna, the person will always remain a devotee of Krishna, regardless of his disposition. And this resonates with the earlier assertion that bhakti can never be taken away. Bhakti only grows, it never diminishes. So, because a bhakti is always preserved, a bhakta is always preserved under all circumstances. So Krishna says, Kshiparam bhavati dharmatma. Shashvak shanti nigachati. Kshiparam means that very quickly such a person becomes righteous. So dharmatma here means that he gives up the sudurachar and becomes properly situated. So Krishna uses the present tense over here. He doesn't use the future tense, right? So he says that even though the translation is he quickly becomes righteous, but the exact translation is that he is righteous. Which means that even when the person is performing sinful activity, he is still righteous. Why? Because the person is properly situated in his relationship to Krishna. Another statement that is derived from here is that Krishna does not recommend any atonement. So when a person deviates from karma or gyan or astang, especially karma, there is atonement that is prescribed. We'll see that that is spoken in towards the end of the 5th and the beginning of the 6th canto of the Bhagavatam, that for sinful activities one needs to perform atonement. But here there is no, Krishna is not saying that such a person needs to perform atonement and then he is restored. Right? So he immediately says that Shashvak Shantim Nigachati, that very quickly, which means that without delay, the person is properly situated. The last point that the acharyas talk about is when Krishna says Kaunteya Pratijani na me bhaktiya pranshati, that O son of Kunti, you declare it boldly that my devotees never perish. So why does Krishna ask Arjun to declare it boldly when the previous statements he himself was making? And the sweet reason the acharyas give is that Krishna is the embodiment of dharma. His word is law, his word is dharma. But sometimes, out of affection for devotees, he will violate the principles of dharma. So this is glorifying Krishna's Bhakta Vatsalya Bhav. That when he was on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he had taken the vow that he will never pick up any weapons during the battle. But then Bhishma had this desire to make Krishna pick up the weapons. And because Krishna was very affectionate to Bhishma there, when Bhishma was attacking Arjun, then at one point he was almost at the point where he was going to kill Arjun. And at that time Krishna picks up the chariot wheel and runs towards Bhishma. So Krishna will occasionally break his own word to please his devotee. But Krishna will never break the word of his devotee. Once his devotee promises something, then Krishna will make it happen. Like when Arjun, he said that I will get back the sons of the Brahman. So this was the pastime in Dwarka when the Brahmans, 10 sons had all died one after the other. As soon as they used to be born, they used to die. And then Arjun said that I promised that I will protect your next son or else I will give up my own life. And when the next son also dies, then Arjun is ready to enter the funeral pyre. And at that time Krishna intervenes and says that don't do it. Arjun says, I have no choice. I gave my word. And then Krishna takes Arjun all the way to the abode of Mahavishnu. And then he gets the sons of the Brahman and gets them back. So Krishna will move heaven and earth to make sure that the words of his devotees are never violated. So that's why, in order to add additional emphasis over here, Krishna is giving us these assurances that this is not just me speaking, but this is, I am asking my devotee to speak and I will never break his word. Next verse, verse 32. Mam hi partha vyapashritya yepeshu papayonayaha striyo vaishyas tatha shudras tepi yanti param gatim. O son of Pratha, those who take shelter in me, though they may be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants and Shudras can attain the supreme destination. So in the previous verse, Krishna was talking about how bhakti gives protection to one who is performing sinful activities, abhiche sudarachara, who's currently or in the future performing sinful activities. This verse talks about how bhakti offers protection to those who in the past have performed sinful activities. So it's generally considered that one's birth is a result of one's past activities. Right? So Krishna talks about Striya, Vaishya, Tatha, Shudra. And so these are generally considered to be Papa Yonya. Papa Yonya means the results of previous sinful activities. So what does Krishna say about them? That if they execute devotional service, te piyanti param gatim, that they will also get the supreme destination. Right? So we see over here how the potency of bhakti extends to all situations. It is independent of anything that a person has done in the past, present or future. Okay, next verse. Verse 33. Kim puna brahmanaha punya bhakta rajarishayastataha anityam sukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. How much more this is so of the righteous brahmanas, the devotees and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. In the previous set of verses, Krishna had spoken about how bhakti continues to protect even under adverse circumstances, past, present or future sinful activities. So, the recommendation that Krishna gives over here is that how much more so if one is performing bhakti in the mode of goodness. Now this verse is really spoken from a practical perspective. It's not so much a tattva. It's not so much an irrefutable claim by Krishna, because that would negate the points that Krishna has been making, that bhakti has nothing to do with material conditions. Whether it is pious or impious, bhakti is independent. So after making that statement, Krishna won't say that one who is a Raj Rishi or a Bhaktya or Brahmana has better chances of executing bhakti. But from a practical perspective in executing devotion, if one is executing from the mode of goodness, which means that one is not committing sins, one is acting according to the scriptural injunctions, then it is easier for that person to execute devotion. The scriptures are, of course, full of examples of even those who are in degraded conditions executing bhakti. Like in the 10th canto, there is the example of the wives of the Kaliya serpent. Then there is the ahiras, the forest dwelling women. So even though their existence was considered to be degraded, they were living outside the Vedic system in the forest, but they were still attracted to Krishna, and they were performing, they were getting the benefit of the bhakti. So bhakti has that potency, but does not mean that one exploits it. Right? So Krishna is encouraging Arjuna and us to avoid the execution of sinful activities while executing bhakti. Okay, the next verse is the last. Manmana bhava mad bhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evashyasi yuktvevam Atmanam Matparayana. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Become my devotee. Offer obeisances to me and worship me. Being completely absorbed in me, surely you will come to me. So this is the concluding verse of the chapter, and Krishna, having spoken about devotees who are mixed with desires, mixed with deviation, he ends the chapter once again speaking about his pure devotee. So manmana bhav. So basically this verse, if you expand on it, essentially Krishna is talking about his nirapeksh ananya bhaktas who do everything, whether it's with their mind, manmana bhav bhat bhakto madhyaji mam namaskaru. So whether it is with their mind, or it is with their body, or it is with their mamevashasi yuktvam, or with their consciousness, it is matparayana. It is always for Krishna. And so this is essentially ananya bhaktas or nirapeksh bhaktas, pure devotees. So this is Krishna's ultimate recommendation. And you will also recognize that Krishna speaks, this is the only verse in the Bhagavad-gita that appears twice. So it appears here in 934 and it will also appear in 1865. The first two lines are the same, Manmanabhad Madhakto Madhyajivam Namaskaru. The last two lines are slightly different, but they have the same meaning. The acharyas say that this point that Krishna makes is so dear to him that he speaks about it twice, once over here and the second time in the conclusion. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport says that the 7th and the 8th chapters of Bhagavad-gita have explained pure devotional service to the Lord that is free from speculative knowledge, mystic yoga and fruitive activities. Those who are not purely sanctified may be attracted by different features of the Lord, like the impersonal Brahma Jyotir and the localized Paramatma. But a pure devotee, and this is what Krishna speaks in the 9th chapter, directly takes service of the Supreme Lord. So with this, we end the 9th chapter. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.